Hey guys, I've got Tom McClure here, and today we are talking all things hybrid athlete, concurrent training, interference effect. Now, a lot of people are doing more of this type of training where we're getting stronger, we're trying to improve our endurance, and there's lots of new research coming up, which is fantastic. And a lot more people are training this way after lockdown. So we've got some training considerations and advice from the man himself, who is a hybrid athlete. I'm going to hand over to Tom, and we're going to have a nice little discussion, give you some practical tips, talk through Tom's training, and look at an overall week at the end. So Tom, take it away.
Okay, so yeah, in terms of setting up your kind of week and thinking about, let's say, how to structure your training, what we need to obviously look at is just your priorities first. Maybe you're training for a specific event in the diary. Maybe there's an overall area that you're trying to focus on. Can you be optimal in in getting stronger and improving your aerobic capacity or endurance, etc.? Well, maybe not, but can you make progress? Yes. I think the real key here is just how you set this up, making sure that you're not going all in all the time. If you take 100% of a running program and take 100% of a strength program and put them together, we're going to end up likely to get injured, we're going to end up burning out, and we're not really going to make any progress. So I think this is the key thing to understand is, like I say, is just where to pick and choose our battles across the week, and also look at it from a kind of a more macro cycle approach in terms of maybe like a 3-month block, 6-month block leading up to an event.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that, don't they? They try to do 100% of everything and end up doing it for 4 days and then failing once they're super fatigued, or they're not seeing results, or hit a plateau earlier than that they probably should do. So we've got some discussions on exercise selection and how to kind of talk about recoverable volume and stuff like that. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, we all have a threshold of how much we can really recover from. I don't think people often overtrain. I think they often just under recover, whether that's from doing too much or not prioritizing their nutrition or not getting enough sleep. And it's always a bit of a balancing act that I've found when trying to get stronger and improve endurance, is that kind of volume versus intensity. And this is something that probably kind of accumulates as well across the week. It's not necessarily always session by session or day by day. It can be kind of across the weeks and even into months. And again, you've got to pick probably your primary goal. And again, realize that you're not maybe going to hit PBs in all your lifts and hit a PB 5K and run a marathon PB all in the same 4-week cycle. You've got to probably go in and be like, right, the next 4 weeks, I need to get stronger. The next 4 weeks after that, I need to improve my zone 2 endurance. And again, kind of pick your battles and set your goals up. And obviously then adjust everything else accordingly. Again, we can't keep adding more and more into the pot. We're just going to end up, like I say, overflowing at the top. So that's where, again, exercise selection comes in. If your primary goal is to maybe improve your speed when you're running or your muscular endurance, think about, mimicking movements that you do when you're out running, when you're in the gym, things like box step ups, things like lunges, etc. And something that I commonly see, and I don't know, this is just, again, a bit of miseducation, but often when people are training in the gym and they're kind of maybe endurance-based athletes, they then seem to train in a hypertrophy and endurance rep range, because that's maybe what they've been taught, rather than, you're doing enough endurance in the week. Yeah. Maybe actually try and get a little bit stronger, because your strength is what's going to help you when you're out on the track or on the bike or in the pool, etc.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. And we've spoken a lot about periodization in terms of nutrition. Our coach Luke has done a lot of stuff in terms of nutrition and training. And Tom, like you said there, like you've got to trying to do everything all the time is just going to lead to failure or lack of progress. Prioritizing your goals, like for me, I think I would definitely need to be focusing on getting stronger rather than focusing on my endurance. It's not to say I won't do any endurance work, but my sessions in my exercise selection has got to be set up to allow me to get stronger. Like you say, there's no point me going in and doing 25 reps of a deadlift or a step up. I need to be doing like a little bit more. And that's, again, really simple advice that often people, and I've been guilty of it as well, is getting a little bit lost in terms of that. And now hopefully this video just helped people to refocus in terms of like prioritize and get the things that are going to be giving them the most bang for the buck. The maximal recoverable volume is a combination of volume and intensity. Now, the next page, I think we got a graph here to kind of show. This is so you're getting programmed by Fergus Crawley and is it Omnia Performance?
Yeah, Fergus and Johnny from Omnia. Yeah,
great stuff. And you know, these guys, they use this kind of like model here, and you know, often the case is, you know, if you're coming from a CrossFit background or even from like a, you know, cycling marathon background, is that these lines wouldn't crisscross. They would just be all at the top and 100% and straight across all week long. And then there might be one day where you drop it down to do nothing and sit on the couch and watch Netflix. But it is about this balancing of volume and intensity. And this is how I think is a really sensible, really simply, not a simple graph that actually is very sophisticated. And actually, this is how you can make progress, I think, in terms of exercise selection. Training volume, training intensity, and training you know, like setup, I think it's a really, really great way to kind of do this. Like, Tom, this is what you do at the moment, isn't it? Like intensity, volume, and how it's kind of structured over the week.
Yeah, so training from kind of Monday to Saturday. So as the week goes on, I'm still going to naturally fatigue. I'm not going to ever kind of fully recharge the battery back to 100%. So that's why the intensity comes down across the week. So my kind of heaviest, most strength-based, most kind of speed-based sessions are always at the start of the week. So I've come off a rest day, you know, I'm as rested as I'm going to be, but the volume's relatively low. And then as the week progresses, you can see things start to move the other way. So the volume comes up in terms of maybe, let's say, sets and reps, or volume is in time of training, you know, the overall time that I'm doing something in a session. But then the intensity drops down so that I'm able to kind of manage that recoverable volume. I'm not doing heavy deadlifts on a Thursday or Friday, which is, you know, again, going to spill into the following week and stop me from getting back to this point come a Monday again.
And it doesn't need to be heavy strength work, does it, at the start of the week? If your primary goal was endurance or maybe a little bit more intensity in terms of, you know, like intense endurance work or sprint work or speed work, then it would be that at the start. It's your priority probably at the start that you need to be kind of focusing on, because you're going to get the most bang for your buck. You're going to, you know, move the needle the most. And then, as you say, like you're fatigued and, you know, you accumulate fatigue throughout the week, then the volume goes up, but like I say, the intensity there. And if you're going to be, you know, hybrid, doing concurrent training, then, you know, often you do need to be able to learn to train under fatigue. But this helps to build your recoverable volume, and that's a really key thing to focus on. Often with CrossFitters, again, we would keep everything high the whole time and just drop it down on 1 or 2 days. And I definitely think us lot, you know, can learn something from this as well. So yeah, great stuff. I think we got a last slide to kind of wrap up on your week. So this is what you're currently doing. Oh, look at your training goals, some big goals there.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's what I like about this, is that I've got goals on my whiteboard, I've got things to be working towards, but obviously some kind of other things as well in the mix. And if you look here, Monday is exactly what we just spoke about. The running side of things is sprints and intervals. So I'm not on my feet for very long, but it's very high intensity. My lower body and my upper body strength sessions come at the start of the week. And then as the week moves on, the sessions get a little bit longer, but the like I say, the intensity drops out of it. Because, you know, the longest session of the week for me is on a Saturday, but that is underpinning everything, because the primary goal is training towards an ultra marathon. So I'm getting used to working under fatigue across the week, but my longest session, but it's the least intense, comes at the end of the week.
Yeah, and you got double sessions at the start of the week. Again, that intensity is high, but the a recent piece of research has come out in terms of concurrent training. A lot of people worry about doing training, or the interference effect of how doing strength and cardio is going to maybe, you know, negate their progress or negate a certain strength gain or aerobic capacity improvement. And actually the research is kind of coming out that if you split your sessions, there's, you know, very minimal effect. And this is a really great setup, isn't it?
Yeah, I think sometimes people train twice a day for training twice a day's sake, because they think more is better. But actually, again, it's about being really smart, knowing your primary goals. And if your primary goal is running or cycling, you want to be able to approach that in a fresh and kind of relatively well-fueled state. So making sure that if you are doing double sessions, if you can, splitting them, ideally kind of like, you know, 3 to 4 hours minimum time between them. So you've got time to refuel the tank and get the most out of those sessions. And again, it's about you know, this might seem like a lot of volume for someone. So it may be that actually you just train 4 days a week, but they're specific sessions. If you're training for a specific discipline, you know, cycling, running, even kind of triathlon to a certain extent, versus training for, you know, CrossFit, functional fitness, that are multiple disciplines, you know, get used to training those disciplines on their own.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And again, if you can't do double sessions and split it, the research out there, honestly, in untrained and moderately trained people, the interference effect is minimal. And again, further research says that if you really want to kind of make sure that you're getting the most out of your session, then doing strength work before aerobic work has the least impact. So, you know, if you can't do it, then try to do strength work before aerobic work. If you can, then split your sessions and you're going to make the most out of it. But if you can't, and you prefer to do your endurance work before your strength work, trust me, there is very minimal thing, unless you're a very highly trained athlete, and then there is some interference effect. So the bottom line is just train regularly and make sure that you follow that graph where you're not just doing everything all the time. And probably that's the biggest take home for me out of all of this. So yeah, great stuff, mate. I think it's really nice. Like, this is hopefully a really kind of practical kind of setup for people. Hopefully we've answered a few questions, allayed a few fears in terms of, you know, if you are doing this type of training. And look, feel free to reach out to Tom. We've got another video on the nutrition side of things as well. So yeah, just hopefully this is going to help you to kind of make serious progress. Top man, thanks very much, Tommy boy, and yeah, let's get towards working towards those big goals.